I want to get to a statement from the CEO. Ongoing concerns about export market access, near-term demand for commodities such as soybeans, and a delayed planting season in much of North America are causing farmers to become much more cautious about making major purchases. A range of reasons there. What is the critical one for you, Anne?
Well, I think all of them. You know, we had said in our note earlier when we downgraded Deere that this was much more than just tariffs, Chinese tariffs on soybeans. You also have global supplies picking up. You've got China with disease in their hog herd. I mean, again, we just thought that things are not going well for the Midwest farmer right now. And I think Deere really echoed what we were saying earlier in their print this morning. I think the key question going into the earnings call at 10 a.m. is, you know, this is not a one-quarter event. It's not a back half event. It's, you know, how permanently have we damaged the U.S. export markets with these tariffs and with encouraging Brazil and Argentina to pick up production to fill in the gap?
What's your assessment of that currently, Anne?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, what's your assessment of that question currently?
Well, currently, I mean, this is going to fall into next year or flow into next year. I mean, we've got 20% reduction in the Chinese hog herd. That's going to put downward pressure on demand for soybeans into 2020. It's going to take a long time for them to rebuild their hog herd. And so, in my view, things are going to get worse before they get better for the Midwest, and particularly for U.S. farmers.
And just in terms of the stimulus that the government might provide, could that offset some of the pain here? Could that help Deere out a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, they're talking about $15 billion in stimulus. That's about how much soybeans we export to China or did before all these tariffs were put in place. That will help, but that's not going to help correct the market share loss. And we've seen this time and time again when we imposed restrictions on exports to Russia back in the late 80s. I mean, we never regained those markets because we encourage other regions of the world to pick up production and fill in the gaps. So, you know, we can help in the short term, but if we've destroyed export markets for the long term, then that's going to be a much bigger issue to deal with for the U.S. farmer.
And I want to put a bow on the conversation with something you and I have discussed a couple of times over the last week, and I think it's important for people that may or may not have read your research. The idea that this is more than just tariffs, there's everything else. Do you think the everything else is the bigger issue here?
Yes, I do. I think the tariffs were just one cog in the wheel, and now we're beginning to realize that there are a lot of other issues going on, including demand destruction in China and ample supply to record supply from South America coming on stream. So I do think that tough times are coming ahead for the Midwest farmer.